Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will show you how to craft asphalt roads together with security guardrails. This build will be really cheap, indeed it will be mainly composed of foam and cardboard. Usually I'm doing fantasy terrain pieces and it will be the first time that I'm doing a modern diorama. So if you like this build and want to see more modern pieces, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment. The first thing you will need for this build is some tacky glue. The next item is not mandatory, but it will help if you have access to a hot glue gun. Of course, you will need some paints. You will only need one shade of brown, one shade of grey and one shade of white for this build. Next, you will need some decorative sands and gravel, as well as some static grass. The next item is not mandatory, but if you have access to some miniature trees, it will give a better effect. Next, you will need some XPS foam. You will also need some wooden dowels, as well as some corrugated cardboard paper. And finally, you will need any type of cork sheet. On my side, I'm using cork coaster from IKEA. For your ease, you will find some direct Amazon links to all the stuff I'm using in this video. The first step of this build will be to take your cork sheet and to cut it in the shape you want for your road. On my side, I'm doing a rectangle of 15 cm by 10 cm, which is equal to 6 inches by 4 inches. Once you are happy with the shape of your road, you can simply cut it with a cutter. Here you can clearly see the effect that we will want to obtain by breaking the cork. It will really look like some damage on the asphalt. For the next step, you will simply take your XPS sheet and you will cut the size that you want for your diorama. In order to save time, here I will use my Proxon, but you can simply use a cutter to do that. For the next step, we'll need to insert the road into the foam. And in order to do that, I will first start by marking the size of my road into the foam. And don't forget to do it on the sides as well. And now, the next step will be to carve directly into the foam. Of course, if you have a handheld tool dedicated to carving the foam, it will be far more easy. However, on my side, I don't have any, so I will simply use my cutter. And of course, if you are doing it like me, please be extra careful to not cut yourself. This step is really easy, however, it can be super long and super cumbersome. Therefore, if you like my video so far, it's the perfect timing to subscribe to my channel and to put a comment and a like under this video. My initial objective was to reach 1k sub by the end of June 2025, but thanks to your huge support in my previous video, by the time I'm recording this, we are already at 900 sub. So with all my heart, thank you very much everybody. At some point, I adopted a new strategy. Indeed, I started to use my cutter in order to carve a checkerboard shape. And then I ripped everything with my fingers. And it was not working neither, so at the end I started to use the tip of my cutter. When you are done with this step, make sure to check with the road that everything is flat. Here, as you can see, it's only flat on one side, so I will try to adjust it. The next step will be to roll a ball of aluminum foil that you will use to texture the foam. Here you can clearly see the difference between the flat foam on the left and the texturized foam on the right. The next step will be to mark the size that you want for the sides of the road. Basically, it will be here that you will see the difference between the road and the fields. For this diorama, I want to represent a mountain landscape, and therefore I will carve the side of the foam in order to represent rocks formations. But if you want to represent a countryside road, you can simply keep the sides of the foam flat. And again, here you can use the tip of your cutter in order to make easy rocks formation. And don't forget to add back some textures with the foil ball. For this build, on one side of the road, I want to represent a wall made of stones. In order to do this effect, you can simply use one of those rollers, but you can also carve each stone individually with a pen. Of course, it will be cheaper with a pen, but you will see that it will also be super cumbersome, so it can be worth it to invest in one or two rollers. And again, don't forget to add some textures on your wall. For this build, I don't want the wall to be upright, and I will prefer to lean it a bit. And in order to do that, I will cut the bases at an angle. Again, you can simply use your cutter to cut it, but you will see that it will be cleaner with a proxon. And here you can see the cleaner cut that I made with the proxon. Again, I will mark the size that I want for this side of the road. And then I will add some textures and I will add some rocks formation. The next step is not mandatory, but on my side I like to see some damage on the asphalt. And so, to easily do this effect, you simply need to rip off the cork. For this step, take your time and don't hesitate to progress slowly. The next step will be to simply paint everything grey. For this step, 2 or 3 coats will do the trick. Here you have the result after the first coat. On this piece, you will see that some areas were difficult to access with my brush, therefore I will switch to a smaller one. For this step, make sure to focus on the areas that will be visible. For example, the middle of the road will be completely hidden. While everything is drying, we will focus on the guardrails. For this, you will simply take the corrugated cardboard paper and you will cut some slices at the sides that you need. For the safety rails, I will be using some leftover wooden posts from a previous build. If you are interested to see how I made those posts, you will see on your screen a direct link to the related tutorial. On my side, it seems that the perfect side was 2 or 3 corrugated lines. If you are planning to use some cars in your diorama, make sure to keep them close to you in order to be able to check the scale at any point. It's not mandatory, but a metallic paint will give you a better result on those railings. And the effect is even better if you start with a coat of grey. Here you will see the difference between a white and a grey. The next step will be simply to glue the road. Make sure to apply some weight on the road while the glue is drying. And after all those steps, this should be your result. And now we will glue some gravels in the cracks of the road. In order to do that, you will simply mix some white glue with some water. Once everything is fully dry, we will paint all those gravel grey. While it's drying, we'll get back to our security rails. We'll apply some copper paint with a dry brushing technique. This technique consists of removing most of the paint on your brush on a paper towel. Then you will brush really gently on your item. The idea is to only hit the highest points. And also to avoid to put any paints in the recesses nor in the cracks. And now that you know how to use this technique, we will use it to highlight all the grey parts. In order to do that, you will use the basis color and you will mix in it some white or some beige. And then you will dry brush this mix across all the grey pieces. The idea here is that we will work with several dry brushing coats. And for each coat, we will add more and more white or beige into the mix. For this technique, you will want to work with at least 3 coats in addition to the basis coats. But personally, in order to achieve an even better result, I will suggest to go up to 5 or 7 coats. For each coat, you will also need to decrease the pressure you will apply on the brush. Here, you have the result after 1 coat. The result after the second coat. After the third coat, starting with the fourth coat, you will see that I'm using some white in the mix instead of the beige. The idea is to not have a tone that is too yellowish. Here you have the result after the fifth coat. And here the final result after 7 coats. For the white stripes on the road, I'm using some paper templates. Here the size is 5 cm by 3 mm. But of course, it will depend on the scale of your diorama. But basically, the length of one stripe should be equal to half the width of your road. I will then make sure to put them in the middle of the road. And once you are happy with the placement of your stripe, you can use some masking tape in order to mark them. And once you are happy with the placement of your line, you can simply paint them with white or yellow, depending on the country that you want to represent. If you want to represent a road that has been used, I will suggest to do only one coat. But if you want to represent a new road, I will suggest to do at least 2 or 3 coats in order to have perfectly clean lines. And when everything is perfectly dry, you can remove the masking tape. And this will be the result. Of course, depending on the look you want to achieve, you can always clean with some grey paint and a really small brush. Now it's time to glue the wooden posts. And don't do like me and make sure that it's fully dry before moving the piece. And now, to tie all the colors together, we'll apply some homemade wash. In order to do this wash, you will simply mix black paint, some water and a drop of dish soap. Then you will apply generously on the piece and you will remove all the excess with a paper towel. Now you will want to attach the wall to the road. In order to do that, I'm once again using masking tape in order to know exactly where I will put the toothpicks. Be really careful that if you put the sticky part of the masking tape against the wall, when you remove it, you should not put the sticky part against the road, but rather you will put it up. Then you will use the holes in the masking tape in order to place correctly the toothpick into the road. This step is not mandatory depending on the look you want to achieve for your road, but you will see that adding a bit of static grass really improves the build. In order to glue the static grass, you will simply use a mix of PVA glue and water, and you will be extra careful to not put any glue on the stone on your road. And then you will apply static grass generously. For this step, make sure to use the plate below your build, like that you will be able to retrieve the excess static grass. And with this trick, you will see that you will only use a pinch of static grass. And now, if you want, you can add some flowers. And again, you will simply glue them in place. Here, it's the first time ever that I'm using this stuff. The idea was to replicate some puddles alongside my road. But the issue here was that the holes in the road were not waterproofed, and so at the end I used a lot of product for a result that was not that good. Initially, my idea was to use this stuff in the crevices, but at the end I wanted to be safe and I used some static grass instead. If you have any advice on how to use this FX stuff properly, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comment. And now, the final step of this build. We will simply glue down the security rails. And make sure to glue them to the interiors of the post. And here you have the final result. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like my channel and you want to support it, the best way is to share this video with a friend of you that might be interested in it. Indeed, now that you are getting closer to the 1K sub, my next objective is to get to 4K watch hours before December 2025. And so if you want to be part of this achievement, don't hesitate to watch again this video and to let me know in the comment which build you are interested to see next. Thank you again very much for your support and see you next time.